listeners, it's Rachel. Welcome to Book Joy, where we are in our reading eras and we are adding joy back to our lives with books. So, since all the big box stores have officially started putting out school supplies, unfortunately, summer is coming to a close. But I thought I would share with you today my summer book haul plus what is on my list to read next. Let's get into it. So, I read a lot of books this summer. Like a lot. More than I normally do. But for this video, I am just going to focus on our middle grades / upper elementary books. Plus an adorable picture book that I was introduced to last week. First up is Inside Out and Back Again by LITE. Inside Out and Back Again is historical fiction set during the Vietnam War. It is the story of Ha, a 10-year-old Vietnamese girl who is forced to flee her home in Vietnam and resettle in Alabama. Ha is the only Asian girl in her class. The story really focuses on her struggles with bullies at school, learning English, her family dynamics changing. Her dad is who knows where, and also just these emotions of immense loneliness and homesickness. From what I know, the book is semi-autobiographical. Tang Ha Lai is herself a Vietnamese refugee who came to live in Alabama when she was just a child. The book is so good. I also want to point out that it is a novel in verse. I think the poems really capture Ha's point of view as a 10-year-old girl. Also, this is a National Book Award winner, and it is also a Newbery Honor Book. Super, super good. Next up is another novel in verse. I just love those types of books. They are usually really quick to read and easy to understand. This one is Booked by Kwame Alexander. Now, honestly, this is not one that I would normally pick for myself. I am not into sports at all. I know nothing about them. There's not an athletic bone in this body. But I do like to try and choose books every now and then that are a little bit out of my comfort zone. So soccer is definitely a big part of the book. This is the story of Nick Hall, who is an 8th grade soccer star. One thing that I think Kwame Alexander does a great job of doing, though, is not alienating any readers. There was no point during this book where I felt lost or confused because I don't know anything about soccer. So you do not have to be a soccer fan to like this book. The story itself is not about soccer. It is about how Nick is navigating the 8th grade. He feels a lot of pressure from his dad. He has a huge crush on this super cool girl. School is super boring to him. He's so smart, but he just really doesn't have any motivation to do well in his classes. And then to top it off, he gets hit with some pretty devastating news. Nick is really relatable. He is smart and clever and passionate, but he's also a teenage boy. And so we really see some of those funny and awkward and even embarrassing moments that we've all experienced. So I definitely want to read more Kwame Alexander. He is an award-winning author. You do not have to love soccer or even be into sports at all to love and relate to his book. Up next is a sweet little novel that is perfect for upper elementary and maybe 6th grade, 7th grade. It is Amina's Voice by Hina Khan. So Amina is a really sweet character. She's very shy. She's very thoughtful. She and her best friend, Soo Jin, have been besties since the 3rd grade when Soo Jin immigrated to America from Korea. It has always been the two of them. At one point in the book, she says that she and Sujin were the only two kids in the class who had hard to pronounce names, and that is kind of how they bonded. But now they have started middle school, and Sujin has started to act a little differently. She wants to change her name into something that sounds more American at her citizenship ceremony in a few weeks. And she also has been spending a lot of time with Emily, who is one of the cool, popular girls. Emily is also one of the girls who was pretty mean to Amina and Sujin back in elementary school. So throughout the book, Amina is struggling to accept change. She's figuring out who she is and where she fits in. She's struggling to know when is the right time to speak up and use her voice. Meanwhile, she's also dealing with her older brother changing. He's getting into more trouble lately. And her family is having to navigate this really important visit from her uncle all the way from Pakistan. Amina's Voice is a really sweet story about growing up, facing change, and it's also a really good story about the power of community. Last up, probably my favorite book of the summer, 3 Times Lucky by Sheila Turnage. Let me tell you, I could not put this book down. 3 Times Lucky is the story of Moses LeBeau, named such because she was found washed ashore in her small little North Carolina town during a hurricane as a baby. Her mysterious past keeps her pretty busy sending messages in bottles to her upstream mother, who lost her all those years ago. Now, Mo has just finished 5th grade. She has a busy summer planned, scheduled to be full of karate, NASCAR racing, and taking orders at her family's cafe. But the summer takes an unexpected turn when a stranger rolls into town, and then Mo's grumpy neighbor is found dead. Mo and her best friend Dale form the Desperado Detective Agency and get on the case. Mo is basically everything I want in a main character. She is smart, she is funny, she is overflowing with spunk. The murder storyline keeps you on the edge of your seat as you try to connect the dots alongside of Mo and Dale. Mo and Dale's antics just keep me laughing. Overall, it is a very fun story, but I also love that all of the characters are very rooted in their own very real struggles. I was also very pleased to learn that this is the first of a whole series of Mo and Dale mysteries by Sheila Turnage, so I cannot wait to read more. Picture book time! So right now I am loving Grow Happy by John Lasser and Sage Foster Lasser, illustrated by Christopher Lyles. So throughout the book, there's this extended metaphor of Kiko's garden and the hard work and care that she puts into it, the tools that she needs to help her garden thrive. So there's this metaphor of her garden and happiness. And so, just like Kiko can work hard to make her garden grow, we also can be thoughtful and careful and hardworking to grow our own happiness. So Kiko teaches us that we need to make good choices. We need to take care of our minds and our bodies. We need to recognize what is in our control and what's not in our control. And when we do these things, among other tools, we are able to grow happiness too. So Kiko is able to manage her own emotions and bring forth happiness into her life, in the same way that her garden is able to grow too. It is a really sweet book, perfect for those younger readers and older readers too. I think everyone can get a lot out of this really good book. Now, what's next on my list? To be read, TBR. TBR? Am I lame? Anyway, Anything But Typical by Nora Raleigh Baskin. So this is a story about 12-year-old Jason who is autistic. Jason loves to read and he especially loves to write, and what he does is he posts the stories he writes on this online publishing website. On this same website, he meets Rebecca, who also publishes stories there. And throughout the story, he is trying to develop that friendship and really connect with someone online. I don't know much more than that because I haven't read it. The book is a winner of the Schneider Family Book Award, which is given to books that do a good job of representing disability. I also looked to Emily Brooks's review of the book from the blog Disability and Kidlit, and Brooks gave this book a shining review. She stated, and I quote, "Jason's story is not only about being autistic, but when it is about his autism, it feels believable." And she said that it shuts down prevailing stereotypes or misbeliefs about empathy, emotion, and the autism spectrum. So essentially, from what I gather, the book does a really good job of not being stereotypical in its portrayal of autism and showing Jason as a really well-rounded character who does feel emotions and feels them deeply. So I am definitely excited to read this book. Anything but typical. So that finishes up my summer reading list. Now I want to hear from you. What books did you read and love this summer? Tell me in the comments below. I am always wanting recommendations for books to read. Also, if you have read any of the books I shared today, I want to hear your takes. Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to keep finding joy through reading. Bye!